Abraham, he wasn't that great of a guy. Let me tell you why. So, I read Soren Kierkegaard, Fear and Trembling. Oh, crap. Very good book. I'd recommend you watch it. Watch it, read it. The thing with this book is Kierkegaard is essentially arguing that Abraham wasn't that great of a guy. No, he wasn't. He was arguing that he wasn't a hero in the tragic, traditional, classic sense, which I would agree with. So, most people know Abraham's story, but I'll give you the down low. So basically, Abraham, this old man, he had this old man wife. She wasn't a man, she was a woman. And they're like, God's gonna make us have a kid. And they had a kid, and they named him Isaac. Great job, Isaac. I salute you. Too bad Isaac was going to die, because God was like, you gotta kill Isaac. Abraham's like, okay. He doesn't have any qualms about this, actually, which is normal. So he takes Isaac up the mountain, and they're like, Isaac's like, Dad, where are we going? And Dad's like, we're gonna make a sacrifice, kid. And he's like, why don't we have an animal to sacrifice for any of these materials that we need? And Abraham's like, well, I know something you don't, kid. What? And that's basically how it played out. And Isaac was like, don't kill me. And Abraham was like, too bad. But then God is like, stop, Abraham. I didn't really think you were gonna do that. And then the ram pops out of the bush and is like, kill me instead. And Abraham's like, well, I'm not a vegetarian. And then, there are no moral qualms about Abraham trying to kill his kid. And Isaac's like, yeah, Isaac doesn't do anything. And they have no family problems. Everything's happy. I don't even know if Sarah finds out. What does it matter? So there you go. There's a down low. Kierkegaard is like, I looked at this story as a kid. And, I thought it was fine. Because, when you read Bible stories as a kid, they all seem fine. But then he grew up and he's like, there's something wrong with this. But of course, he didn't believe there's anything wrong with the Bible. It was infallible to him, obviously. So he's like, we gotta find a way to reconcile this. So he makes up this theory called the Night of Faith. He didn't name it that. I'm naming it that. I think it's a cringe name, by the way. It's the name he uses in the book. But finally, we're circling around back to the point. Why isn't Abraham a tragic hero? Well, a tragic hero sacrifices himself, or his peace of mind, or his treasures, material possessions, for the greater good, for his community, for Hegelian ethics, baby. If you didn't know, you're a Hegelian, unless you're some weirdo. Welcome to the club. No, so Abraham, of course, is not sacrificing anything he owns. You could argue that he owns Isaac, which is kind of weird. The difference between a tragic hero and a knight of faith is that while a tragic hero is sacrificing something for ethics, for his community, for the greater good. You hear that all the time. Actually, a lot from villains, but don't let them villainize you, Hegel. No, so a knight of faith instead is sacrificing their own desire. But they're doing more than that. So there's a couple movements here. The first one, you recognize your desire. What do you want most in the world? So for Kierkegaard, he is engaged with his fiancée, right? Oh, my beautiful fiancée. And she's like, I don't speak English, mate. We're Danish. That's how Danish people sound, if you didn't know. And he's like, I love you so much, but you're my primary desire. And after they're engaged, he breaks it off. He doesn't care. He does care. That's a big thing. You have to care about your primary desire. So first, you recognize your primary desire, and then I already hinted to it. You eliminate any possibility of that desire happening. So Abraham's primary desire was creating a grand nation, a huge family. He was the great patriarch. That's the whole point. That's why he had this kid. And God said, Abraham, you know what to do. And Abraham knew what to do. Kill. The third part is recognizing that even through an impossibility, God will still see your desire through. A little disconnect here from the story and from my interpretation of it. A big thing with Kierkegaard is the intention behind something. So Abraham was going to kill his child. So that was the main, how do you say it? He might have already well done it, right? Because he was going to, and nothing was going to stop him except a big boulder killing him or something silly like that. But, you know, all the path being clear, he was going to do it. So he might as well have done it. So even though he didn't do it in the story, he might as well have. But eventually, of course, God stops him. He recognizes Abraham's grandest desire and sees him through this impossibility, right? The impossibility of God ordering you to kill your child, you basically going through with it, stopping at the very last moment, and then all is well, right? Except for the family drama that happened afterward. That didn't, but should have. I would have had a very long conversation with my family if I was trying to be killed by my own father. Keep that in mind. So, you have your desire, it's an impossibility, but you have faith that God is going to see you through. You have faith in the absurd, right? That's the final movement of being a knight of faith. So you have your state of infinite resignation. This is never going to happen. I understand my greatest desire is never going to be fulfilled. And then you're like, I recognize that it's an impossibility, but God's going to see me through. So, there you go. Kierkegaard, of course, his big deal was he could not recognize God was going to see his impossible desire through, right? He'd purposely broken off his engagement with his fiancée, and he could just not see God ever bringing them back together, which of course, God didn't, and he died alone and sad. Poor guy. I don't actually know if he was sad. Regardless, he wrote some stuff down, so that's pretty important. He got a legacy going. Or at least for the present moment, until we all turn to ash and dust. Ooh. That's the main core message. However, I would still recommend you give it a read. For one, this Penguins Classic Edition, very good. This beautiful art piece. Well, beautiful, it's actually kind of disturbing. There you go. There's Isaac. But it's translated very well. Translated by Alistair Hannay. Never heard of him. But the introduction is fantastic. One, he just goes into so much background on A, Hegelian ethics, and B, Kierkegaard's life, which is not essential to understanding the work, but you might as well understand who Kierkegaard was and what he thought and what he wrote and what his... My dog's over there. And what his life was like. And I think that helps you understand this book a little bit better. So I'd recommend getting this edition. It is kind of expensive. $16, and it's like 140 pages, but whatever, he did good work. Also, there's a Bob Dylan song lyric in the very beginning from Highway 61, which is relevant and also funny, and got me to listen to the song. And yeah, that was it. And the main thing here, this could have been an essay, right? This could have been like a 50-page long essay about how, like, trying to reconcile Abraham through like modern Hegelian ethics, and why if you hold these modern ethics dear to your heart, you're never going to understand Abraham's story like you did when you were a child. But instead, he definitely walks you through very slowly. Kierkegaard does, and he also really works on his prose in this book. So even though this is translated from Danish, of course, Kierkegaard was Danish, if you didn't catch that from his wacky name. Nobody's named this anymore, because we're all American, baby. Even through the translation, it still comes through very poetic, and it honestly reads... It doesn't read a lot like the Bible in all places, because it is like Kierkegaard's like thoughts and ideas, and you don't really get that a lot in the Bible, maybe like Ecclesiastes, stuff like that, but it is very poetic, and I thought it was great, and I think you should read it if you have like a free week. You know, it won't take you more than like 15 minutes a day to get through it. So, great book. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. I understand there is the argument to be made that I should be making a second channel for these book videos, but I don't think I will. The reason for that is because this channel, I want to embody me, right? And if I separate it into other little bits and bobs, and this is my gaming channel, this is my book channel, this is my history channel, and you know, that I feel like that it just splits me up too much. In the end, this channel will never be successful. But in the end, I want people to be here because they enjoy what I have to say. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you later. Have a good day. Adios.